Humiliation after humiliation for Donald Trump lately, and oh boy did it continue today at the UN. Not just because Trump humiliates himself wherever he goes, attacking world leaders, saying their countries are going to hell, but because his wife, or his contractually obligated wife at the event today, had Donald Trump humiliated as well in two moments. One, as he entered the building, which he complained about a lot in his speech, and also in a speech that Melania delivered. We're going to get into it all because it's pretty hilarious, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into how Melania humiliated Donald Trump, I want to start with the humiliation that found both of them as they got on the escalator today, which Donald Trump was complaining about, and now Carolyn Levitt is throwing a full-blown meltdown. Just check out what happened today. It was hilarious.
We got from the United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle. If the First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen, but she's in great shape. We're both in good shape. We both stood. And then a teleprompter that didn't work.
President Trump, what happened with Chuck Schumer? Why did you cancel the meeting?
President Trump.
President Trump, Schumer.
So after that unfortunate escalator incident, Carolyn Levitt wrote, if someone at the UN intentionally stopped the escalator as the president and first lady were stepping on, they need to be fired and investigated immediately. The Times reported this on Sunday. Okay, so Donald Trump gets on the escalator and it just stops. And now Carolyn Levitt, I'm sorry, I'm going to start crying. Carolyn Levitt's like, I demand someone be fired. Is Donald Trump going to get Pam Bondi on the case? We need an immediate investigation, not into Epstein or his associates and the crimes that they committed, but into Escalator Gate. Like, what is this administration? It's laughable. They are just so stupid. This is a complete embarrassment. Donald Trump wants to portray himself as the big, strong, tough guy, but he is just so weak. And we saw that today when, after getting his feelings hurt by Putin, he decided to make a 180 on his foreign policy. And thankfully, and hopefully this holds up, but it is important to take a look at what Donald Trump said about Ukraine and how it relates to how Melania humiliated him. Taco Trump reveals humiliating about-face on paper tiger Russia. Donald Trump has branded Russia a paper tiger and declared that Ukraine was doing such a good job on the battlefield it could defeat Moscow with the help of the West, and a stunning reversal of his push for Ukraine to make concessions in order to end the war with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The U.S. president now says that Ukraine is in a position to fight and win all of Ukraine back in its original form. Russia has been fighting aimlessly for 3.5 years, a war that should have taken a real military power less than a week to win, Trump wrote in a Truth Social post after a meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. This is not distinguishing Russia. In fact, it is very much making them look like a paper tiger, he said, an unflattering reference to something that purports to be strong but is actually flimsy. Putin and Russia are in big economic trouble, and this is the time for Ukraine to act, Trump continued, noting that the economic sanctions were hurting Moscow and putting Ukrainians in a position to take back their country in its original form and, who knows, maybe go even further than that. In any event, I wish both countries well. We will continue to supply weapons to NATO for NATO to do what they want with them. The surprising post came moments after Trump spoke to Zelensky on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly in New York, where he acknowledged to reporters that the war was not going to end for a long time. The comment was a tacit admission that the attempts to broker a peace deal between the two countries had barely moved the needle, even after Trump rolled out the red carpet for Putin in Alaska last month. Asked if he could still trust Putin, he told reporters, "I'll let you know in about a month, okay?" So Donald Trump, the supposed big, strong, tough guy, has completely changed his position either because Zelensky played him, or Putin hurt his feelings, or one other option, Melania. And she gave a speech today, along with comments that she made months prior, that really show maybe why Donald Trump changed his mind.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining me today. We all have been in that moment of personal reflection, looking out over our city's lights while time feels frozen. Behind each flickering light is a family at home, where parents work tirelessly to unlock brighter futures for their children.
We also remember that Trump said that Melania wrote a letter to Putin asking him to end the war because she loves children. So Melania gives a little speech about children, which I don't actually know how much she cares about anything but like Chanel bags. Sorry, Melania. I guess I can insult your intelligence. You're married to Donald Trump. That's kind of a stupid move. But then Donald Trump does this about face. Is it his wife pressuring him? Is he seeing the foreign policy? I don't think so. The main important point to me in the Trump post, in which he was talking about his change in position on the war that now I guess he will admit that Russia started, is that Trump says, I've now been educated on what's going on. You weren't paying attention the past 3.5 years, man. You just locked in. You've been talking about this the whole time, and you just now understand the economic and military conditions. But it seems like Melania is the one who's changing his mind, which is like a little humiliating that he didn't understand what was happening before. And I don't want to give Melania Trump too much credit because nobody should. But it does seem like she has pushed Trump to this place. And if that's the case, great. I really hope this holds up. I hope it is not like Putin sending Trump an edible arrangement or some bullshit like that and a cute photo of them. And he's like, well, now I like Vlad again. Now we're great friends. He wants to hang out. I think we're going to do a puzzle. I ate a piece. Hopefully that doesn't sway U.S. foreign policy. That'd be a little scary, even though, it wouldn't be surprising. But this is what we, I guess, have come to expect from Donald Trump, just wildly oscillating on different positions based on his emotions at any given moment. And certainly we see that be the case with Jimmy Kimmel. And Kamala Harris responded to that last night.
So, back to how you opened the show. I mean, talk about the power being with the people and the people making that clear with their checkbooks as it relates to the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel. We saw the power of the people over the last few days, and it spoke volumes, and it moved a decision in the right direction. I think that part of where we are now in terms of thinking about what the fight is, it requires us, yes, to understand that we've got this administration and this president in front of us abusing the power that the people vested him with. But we also need to understand that this is bigger than Donald Trump. You know, part of what I write about, this stuff is decades in the making, Rachel. It didn't just happen overnight. You know, so much of what has indeed overwhelmed people, not to mention just scared the stuff out of people, is what we are witnessing is a high-velocity event. Yeah. We are witnessing something that has been happening so rapidly, and it feels chaotic. But what I would offer you is what we are witnessing is the swift implementation of a plan that was decades in the making. Decades in the making. Project 2025 didn't just drop out of thin air. That's a product of decades of work. Federalist Society, Heritage Foundation. Understand that the implementation of a plan that's about trying to get rid of the Department of Education, deregulate industries, weaken the rule of law by over a period of time, creating a system and through gerrymandering states so that we would now have the Supreme Court that we have. This stuff didn't happen overnight. And it did not happen just because of an election in 2024 or even 2016. So when we talk about where the fight must go, there is the aspect of it that is about the immediate moment, such as the weight of the federal government being used to silence critics, citizens. And it must be about understanding that this did not just happen overnight, and we have to pay attention to an agenda that is not going to necessarily go away when this guy is finally termed out of office.
Well, let me ask you on that gerrymandering front. The White House has been very aggressive, pushing Republican-led states to gerrymander their maps to effectively give Republicans a major edge heading into the midterms next year. That has led to related responsive Democratic efforts, including in your home state of California. Do you support Democrats' effort to kind of fight fire with fire there? Will you be involved in that California measure, for example?
I absolutely support it. You mentioned Gavin earlier. By the way, Gavin has a great sense of humor, so you know, he's going to be fine.
No, I was very glad to see the vice president make her return, be back in the action, on with Rachel Maddow last night. I thought it was a good interview. I wish she had expanded on a couple more points. But there was one clip that I don't really think we even need to play. I think I can just summarize when she was asked about Zohran Mamdani. Said that we need to be highlighting other mayoral candidates. I'm fine with that. But she was asked if she would endorse by Maddow, and her response was, he's the Democratic candidate, I support the Democratic candidate. And that's just kind of some weak shit. And I think we should call that out. I think that the vice president writing a book in which she says, I should have had more foresight and I should have pushed for Joe Biden to step aside earlier so that maybe we could have had a primary or prevented the disaster that was the end of the 2024 campaign, and then to not have the same foresight she wished she had to embrace a star in our party who is talking about the issues that dictated the outcome of the 2024 election. I really would have liked a full-throated endorsement. I think that even her non-endorsing, not even like half endorsing, would have been better. To go, I support Democrats, and that's your position. I just think we need to be just more engaged with what the base actually wants, and it's Iran. And so I was disappointed to see that. Again, glad to have the vice president back. I really wish he would have been saying more throughout these first months, but it's good. We need all the voices we can get, and hopefully, and maybe, and possibly, I don't know if I'm alluding to anything, we'll be able to have that conversation with the vice president on this show at some point soon. So if you want to stick around for that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And if you want to support the shows another way, you can subscribe to my Substack. It's going to be right here or linked below. Keep on fighting. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.